Well, the number of confirmed positive coronavirus tests here in Montana stands at 319. Now, the state currently is having issues updating its numbers, so we'll get those out to you as soon as we have them. At last count, there were 319, and there are a total of 6 deaths across Montana. But there is some good news. 200 fewer deaths and a giant drop in hospitalizations. That's new data predicting the effects of COVID-19 in Montana, and they're looking promising. This is the model used by the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Last week, it predicted 270 people would die from the illness in our state, but now that number has fallen to 22. The data suggests only 45 hospital beds will be needed at the peak of the outbreak compared to the 800 plus previously reported. The numbers are compiled by the University of Washington and indicate the peak resource need for the state will be April 13th. We'll expect an update this afternoon around 2 o'clock. Governor Steve Bullock will address the state again here on Q2. He will address extending stay-at-home directives, measures to protect first responders, and support for local governments. Well, personal protective equipment is in high demand for those fighting on the front lines of the coronavirus battle. MTN's Gabby Crevitt shows us how a Bozeman fishing company is stepping up to make sure our healthcare professionals are safe.
Many in the community know Simms as a local manufacturer of fly fishing equipment and apparel. And just a few short weeks ago, this facility totally changed the way it operates, all to help those fighting on the front line against the coronavirus outbreak.
We aren't faced with these challenges often. For them to make something for us that we feel like there was a lot of labor and love that went into it is pretty awesome.
It all started off with the need for personal protective equipment as the coronavirus made its way to Gallatin County. So Bozeman Health reached out to Simms Fishing Products to see if they could lend a hand. Simms is now manufacturing high-quality, CDC-approved, reusable medical gowns for healthcare professionals fighting the virus.
Essentially, our factory is closed. Making waders is not essential, but making medical gowns is essential. And so Governor Bullock has given us the green light to make these gowns, whether they're for Bozeman Health or any other customers around Montana.
Bozeman Health says the effort was made possible by numerous people in the community, from the financial support of the Yellowstone Club Community Foundation and the Arthur M. Blank Foundation, to, of course, the employees at Simms stepping up during the stay-at-home directive.
The sense of urgency from the medical community is so great that for us to be able to fulfill their needs is really, I would say, it's one of our proudest moments.
The CEO of Bozeman Health says the sense of pride is felt by healthcare workers as well.
Watching our teams in action, caring compassionately for those that they serve on a daily basis, but knowing that there is this badge of local pride that they're wearing, to me, is spectacular.
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
That is awesome. Another way Montana is stepping up. Thank you so much. Well, a supermoon happens when a full moon is closer to Earth than normal, and tonight's will be especially close. It's expected to be the biggest and brightest supermoon of the year. We'll see a string of supermoons happening this spring. The next one is exactly 1 month from today. Talk about super. It's time to check in on the weather scene, and Rob Griggs is standing by now with the supermoon and a little sunshine.
We have your solar and your lunar pleasure today. That's what we're all after here, by golly. Between the sun and the moon, you're going to have to duck, not to bump your head on it. That's how nice it's going to be across the state. Let me show you across the nation right now. Severe weather in places like Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. That's where severe weather could be happening later on today. Also, we've got red flag fire warnings over there in Nebraska, tucking down into Colorado. Meanwhile, up in Montana and Idaho and Washington, Oregon, not too bad at all. We've got some high clouds. All the showers that we had up in northeast Montana have already moved along. Wind is going to be one of those issues, though. We'll watch those gusts across the state, anywhere from about 15 to 25 miles an hour, maybe even some higher gusts. How long does the wind stick around? How nice is it going to be? The complete forecast in just a little bit, you know.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, what a perfect day for golf. While many businesses have been forced to close because of the coronavirus outbreak, there's a gray area when it comes to hitting the greens. States are disagreeing whether golf and many other industries are essential or not. Well, some states have closed courses, while others, such as Arizona, have deemed them essential. Here in Montana, Governor Steve Bullock didn't mention golf in his stay-at-home order, but he did say that leaving your home for outdoor activity, as long as you comply with social distancing guidelines, is okay. Well, golf is one of the few sports where you can social distance, and not touch any of the same equipment. Courses are open, but taking precautions such as limiting carts to one golfer or family members only.
We're following the directives of the governor. The governor and many states have allowed for outdoor activities as long as people are adhering to the social distancing guidelines. Our operations have changed substantially because we're not allowing guest play. We're only open for member play, and that is one rider per cart in their private carts, no rental carts, but it's making the best of a very bad situation.
The federal government does have a recommended list of essential businesses, but for now it is still up to each state to enforce those guidelines. Well, starting today, a drive-through nasal swab testing site will be up and running at the Missoula Fairgrounds. In addition to testing done by local healthcare providers, the Missoula City County Health Department will now offer appointment-based testing at the fairgrounds. But as testing supplies are limited, you have to fall into the priority lists. Now, those include people who are healthcare facility workers who are having symptoms, patients in long-term care with symptoms, patients 65 years or older who have symptoms, or patients with underlying health conditions, and also first responders. Now, if you fall into one of those categories before going to the fairgrounds, it's important that you first call 258-INFO. From there, you'll speak with a nurse who can give you a referral. In energy news, construction work on the Keystone XL pipeline is underway across the U.S.-Canadian border north of Malta. Work began over the weekend, but TC Energy will not provide any further details. The company's presidential permit is a subject of a hearing next week before a U.S. district judge based in Great Falls. Some environmental groups claim the Army Corps of Engineers ignored two major U.S. laws when it approved the project's permit last spring. Well, since we are anticipating tonight's supermoon, a story behind black wolves in Yellowstone National Park, learn how science is helping us to understand their origin. The time now is 12:07, but first, Rob's up with your statewide weather forecast.
Really delivering on what will be a superb day to get outside and do some social distancing in the sun. Just, if you have to grab onto a tree or hang on a little bit, that's okay, because winds are going to be blowing a little bit out there. Not bad, though. You got some showers up here in northeast Montana, just cooking on out into North Dakota, and they're rain showers for the time being. A few clouds showing up west and east of the Continental Divide, but fully west of the divide there, it's starting to clear up rather nicely. And out here in eastern Montana, northern Wyoming, very nice. And yep, it is warmer with the exception of central Montana. It's warmer pretty much everywhere now compared to where it was this time yesterday. And the wind, well, the first thing I'm going to show you is all the colors on the map. It looks like a sherbet ice cream of some kind, right? Well, all of these colors represent the wind that is now picking up, and that's going to be a picture that we'll be seeing a lot of. Wind gusts north of 45 miles an hour up along the High Line. Really, just about every location has some wind, and the wind gusts occasionally will jump up there to the 30-35 mile an hour range. Sustained winds, for the most part today, are going to be in the 15 to 25 mile an hour range, so that's all doable and livable. Here's what's going on. We've got a little weak disturbance that's moving from west to east. It'll continue into the Dakotas later on this evening. It's dragging a weak cold front down from Canada. A couple of things are happening with that. The wind is going to continue to blow through the day, but it will eventually move to the east following that low pressure system, but probably not till tomorrow. Cooler temperatures will also make their way down, but not before we have a nice warm day. And these cooler temperatures will be affecting pretty much east of the divide for eastern and central Montana. West of the divide, that front will just sort of miss it, so the warmer temperatures are going to stay in place for at least another day or so. And as we see that front advance, it's also a dry cold front. There really aren't any showers to be associated with it. This high pressure and warmer temperatures, which will be influencing western Montana, continues to move back in for Thursday and Friday, and it feels like we're kind of out of the woods, right? Thursday and Friday looking pretty good. Yeah, not so much. There's a pretty good sized Pacific storm system that's going to be moving in for the weekend. It will also be combining with some cold conditions Canadian air, and that means our friends out here in Idaho and western Montana by Friday afternoon, Friday evening are going to start to feel a change in the weather, and that change is definitely going to give us a taste of some wintry weather. So the forecast today, let's not worry about any of that nonsense. We'll look at the sunshine out there and enjoy all of these temperatures into the 50s and 60s. It's going to be a little windy again today and tonight. We'll see partly cloudy skies, lows at or a little bit below the freezing mark, still comfortable for this time of year. And then the forecast for tomorrow, we see the wind happening, temperatures cool down a little bit east of the divide in the wake of that passing cold front. Still warm though out in western Montana, but that's where all the changes begin to manifest as we head in toward the weekend. Let me give you a quick look at our 3-day forecast for Kalispell, Missoula, Great Falls, and Helena. So far so good. Wind today in all locations. You notice in central Montana highs on Thursday back into the 60s, as will be the case for Missoula and for Kalispell. But when you look at Butte, Glendive, Billings, and Bozeman, not quite as warm on Thursday in the wake of that cold front, and then for Butte and Bozeman we'll see temperatures right around 60. Janelle?
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, through these trying times, we are witnessing a mixture of emotions from concern to stress and anxiety. We're also seeing promise from those who feel they need to answer a call beyond staying healthy through this pandemic. Here's MTN's Victoria Hill.
This is a typical weekday morning for Sarah Moyer and her crew at Project Lunch. This past February, Sarah made the leap of faith and moved into a commercial kitchen space here at Miss Gigi's Sweets in downtown Billings. But little did she know, a month later, a solid streak of growth would come to a halt.
Business plummeted. Things changed.
The culprit? COVID-19.
What do I do? How do we adapt? How do I pay my employees?
Putting employees first, she took out a loan, and the answer came to her when Governor Steve Bullock announced the closing of public schools.
At 5:30 that night, we headed to Costco and just started buying stuff for lunches. I just immediately thought of the need that's out there.
And that's how Project Love Billings was born from Project Lunch.
Our schools are going to do everything they can to get food into kids' bellies, and they're doing great work, and people are able to go and pick up curbside. My fear, because I have a history working at Head Start, is that not everybody has the gas or vehicle to do that.
Sarah posted the offer for free delivered brown bag lunches in a social media group.
A lot of people have sent us emails saying, this is why I'm in my situation. We don't care what has gotten you in this situation. We care about you. There's absolutely no questions asked.
It didn't take long for the requests to start rolling in.
And that first Monday, we delivered 19 lunches, and then we had 65 for Tuesday. And then from then on, we've had over 100 lunches every single day since March 16th, Monday through Friday.
And as fast as requests came in, so did the volunteers. Everything from cash donations and businesses supplying lunch items down to the artist designing the logo that's displayed on each lunch bag, simply stating, "You are loved."
One thing that we do here at Project Lunch is we include a lunch note on every lunch, and it says, enjoy your lunch, love Sarah, with a heart. And it's something that I think brightens a day. And it makes me think about when I was a child, the lunch notes my mom put on my lunches. So it's important to me that we lift up people's days. It's not just a lunch. We're sending love. We're sending the community. We're saying we're not alone.
And no lunch is complete without the delivery drivers who not only put safety first when transporting the food, but are there to offer another form of safety.
There's going to be someone 6 feet away from a house every day. And more than likely, some of the people that we're delivering to could be at risk of violence. And so if they know at least once a day someone will be 6 feet from them, maybe we can prevent it. Maybe we can be a first reporter. Maybe there's something we can do. We don't know, but we have to try.
And try she will, as long as she can.
In reality, this could be their dinner. And we're not checking any of that. It doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's about making sure everybody's needs are met.
Again, Victoria Hill with MTN with that story. Thank you so much. Another example of Montana stepping up. Now, donations are being accepted to keep the program going. Visit website projectlunch.biz and look for the Project Love Billings tab. You have the option of purchasing a lunch for $5, and for every lunch sold, one is given away for free. Lane Nordland has your latest ag news right after the break.
From the Montana Ag Network. Welcome back for our farm and ranch news. Looking to our headlines today, the U.S. winter wheat crop is starting off the 2020 growing season with a good to excellent condition rating, slightly above last year, according to USDA's first weekly crop progress report released Monday. In Montana, the winter wheat crop was rated 52% good to excellent, 45% fair, and just 3% poor to very poor. Top winter wheat producing state Kansas reported 49% of its crop in good to excellent condition, slightly below 55% at this same time last year. As for planting, reporters in Phillips and Valley counties noted producers haven't been able to get into the fields, but they are prepping equipment for planting. No surprise at all, just 1% of the spring wheat crop has been planted, while 2% of the barley crop is in the ground, behind the 5-year pace of 4%. For livestock, 40% of cows have calved, behind the 5-year average of 50%, but a lot of folks have moved those calving dates back just a bit for sure in the past 5 years. Lambing is on pace with 39% of ewes lambed. And speaking of lamb, it is, of course, one of the main centerpieces of Easter and Passover meals. And the American Lamb Board understands that despite these challenging times, farmers and ranchers, retailers, and butcher shops are working hard to have lamb stocked in the meat case. The Lamb Board is also providing educational resources for buying and cooking lamb, along with some tasty recipes for this week's holiday. For more, visit AmericanLamb.com. We'll be right back. Returning back today, a large pork processing plant in Columbus Junction, Iowa is suspending operations after more than a dozen employees have tested positive for the coronavirus. The Tyson Foods plant shutdown will last for at least a week and possibly longer. Tyson said it would be diverting livestock shipments to other plants in the region to keep up with demand. DTN reports that National Beef is also announcing it is moving up a major cleaning process and delaying processing at an Iowa premium beef plant, and after a worker tested positive for COVID. This all on the heels of a JBS beef plant in Pennsylvania that reduced operations due to the pandemic last week. And also this week, the mayor of Grand Island, Nebraska confirmed 10 JBS employees tested positive for COVID-19. Leaders in the beef and pork industries stressed early on that packing capacity in both industries was already tight, and neither cattle nor pork producers could afford plant shutdowns. We'll continue to track those shutdowns here on the report. And finally, today, lawmakers are urging Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue to make temporary flexibilities on Farm Service Agency loans permanent for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic. In a bipartisan letter, the senators also want USDA to ensure adequate and equitable access to credit and consider making emergency measures such as deadline extensions, loan payment deferrals, payment forbearance, and a full suspension of all current and pending foreclosure actions effective for the duration of the pandemic. In all, 43 senators signed the letter, led by Senator Amy Klobuchar, a Democrat from Minnesota, and Senator John Hoeven, a Republican from North Dakota. That's all the time we have for today's Farm and Ranch News. Have a great day, friends.
All right, thanks, Lane. And Rob Griggs here to tell us more about the moon and the sun.
We've got beautiful sunshine today, and
Yes.
pretty much all the way across the state there's a good view of the sun, although I encourage you not to look directly at it.
No.
There's no eclipse or anything. It's
I'd
just
like
sunny.
to right now, though, just lay in the sun.
We're like lizards and snakes laying out on the rocks. But then tonight we have a supermoon coming up. Before that, we've got wind today. That'll be the common denominator along with the sunshine. You're looking for highs in the 50s and 60s. Now, it's going to be a warmer day in eastern Montana than it will be tomorrow. Western Montana, west of the divide, is going to hold steady because that little cold front that's slipping down later tonight is only going to be affecting eastern Montana. But overnight tonight, as we view the supermoon, partly cloudy skies and a bit windy. I think we can deal with that, don't you?
I think we can. We'll see you right back here tonight at 5:30 and again tomorrow at noon.